Hey guys, welcome back to my Lady Boss YouTube channel. So today I wanted to talk about how to find your dream job and to really build your own empire. Because there's so many times where people are just super unhappy with what they're doing and just the day in and day out of just going to their job and then coming back home. There's so many people out there that I see that do not find happiness in what they're doing and just kind of don't know what to do. So the fact that if you wake up every Monday morning and you're just dreading to go to work, or Sunday evening and you're like, dang, I have to go to work on Monday, you may not be in the right career path. And that's one thing where there's so many people in the same boat. And I think it's just 100% something that I truly believe in, that you really should find passion and happiness in a job that you're doing every single day, because it consumes so much of our life. So I have found something that I love and I'm passionate about. And yes, every single job gets stressful, but the fact is that if you truly love to do something, and when those Monday mornings come around and you're not dreading to go to work, that means that you really have truly found something that you enjoy. So before I do get started into this video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I do post videos every Thursday. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the tips that I have for you on how to find your dream job. My tip number one is to fail fast and fail early. So probably many of us have been in the same boat where we've all started working when we were ages 16 to 18. And then over a period of time, when you get older, a career starts to be more of an importance to people. So the fact is that I get it that this whole process of finding your career path and just trying to figure out what you want to do with your life can be scary. It could be discouraging. It could just be something that is just very stressful, and sometimes it's not a very pleasant process for some people. So just think of this process as a trial and error stage, because what it comes down to is you need to go ahead and learn quickly. But then if you fail, be okay with it. And the reason why I say it's okay to fail is because, say you went out there, got hired by this company that you thought it was going to be something that you could see yourself doing 10 years from now. And it turns out that, you ended up not really liking it. And a lot of times people can think oh, this was such a waste of time. I wasted so many months here, so many years here. But in the reality, like I said, bring yourself back down to where you need to know that this is the trial and error stage, because even if it didn't work out, it's the pathway that now you know that this isn't something that you should have went down. Now you know that this is a different pathway that you need to take and go forward with it. Because in order for you to learn what you truly want to do, you have to fail. You have to go through those steps and processes and figure it out to see if you like a career or not. Without those things as kind of the foundation to build yourself off of, you're not going to know what's going to be out there for you to lead you down into a different path. So that's why I always say it's okay to fail, that it's okay to have a job that you may end up not liking or see yourself not doing in the next 5 years, but it's okay. Don't beat yourself up about it. Everything will work out for the better, because it's better to figure this out early on rather than later, because then what you can do now is you can make a decision to move on from it. And the only reason why I'm trying to tell you about this trial and error process is because that's exactly what I had to do before I found out my whole career path is really truly passionate about real estate, because I have so many different jobs underneath my belt and my resume is so long, to be honest. And it was just, once I found out that it wasn't the type of job for me, I ended up moving on from it. I didn't try to stick it out way too long and just kind of make it where I was drowning it out. It was one of those things where I decided to not see it as a failure, but I decided to just, like I said, move on from it, because you will eventually find out what you truly, really love to do. My tip number two is to go out and gain the experience. This one by far is probably the most important, only because the fact is that if you can gain that hands-on experience for any type of job and literally live day in and day out in that certain type of work environment, you can evaluate and say hey, can I see myself doing this 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And you can kind of see how it affects you mentally. Does this job make you happy? Does it make you sad? Way too stressed out? You can really evaluate that. And the fact is that, or you can even just think about it and say, hey, does this work environment really fit with my goals, my morals, my values? I'll give you this really funny example that I thought of actually. So it's you know how people don't like certain foods, right? It's like people know that they don't like certain foods because they went out there to go try it. That's kind of how I'm somewhat horrible example of relating it to a job is that like you need to go out and see if you like it and to see if you can see if it's a good fit for yourself. Same thing as like some people don't like bananas. Some people like watermelon, but it's like, how do they know that they like those things? They went out to go try it. So I hope that kind of makes sense for you, because I just think that there's so many people who go through so many years of just not trying to gain the experience, and then they kind of don't know what to do from there. And so that's why I think that this is one of the crucial things, because when you get to live in a certain type of environment, especially work environment, to see if it's a correct fit for you, that is the only and truly way you will know if this is something that you can do for the long run. And just a side note from this too, I know that a lot of people already have their jobs or careers, or they're already in one, or they're in that process of trying to find a new one. So the fact is that like I have other tips and suggestions on like how you can maybe get out of a job that you might not like anymore and to transition into something better. So a lot of times what maybe you can possibly do if this fits within your schedule is maybe you can work 2 jobs. You know, like the one that you kind of don't like and kind of don't see a good fit for yourself with, maybe you can do something where you can actually work a secondary job for a different type of company, and then you can kind of maybe slowly transition into that new job that could be more exciting for you. Or the other thing too is that maybe you can still do your full-time job and then maybe try to do something part-time, like say if you can work for a certain company on the weekends, or just do something where it can work with your schedule, where you can at least try to gain that little bit of experience just to see if you like it, because you definitely don't want to move from one job that you didn't like to another job you didn't like. So that's just a couple suggestions on what you can do if you do have already a set career in place. My tip number 3 is to learn what you love. So take the time to maybe sit down with yourself and make a list of things that interest you, the things that really kind of make you happy, or just even things that challenge you. I feel like that's a very important one, because a lot of times if someone doesn't feel challenged in their job, then they kind of get complacent, and that's where you don't want to find a job where you're just kind of going with the motions of it. So definitely focus on that, because there are so many people who do not like their jobs, really will complain day in and day out about this and that, and like the people who they work with or just the job environment. And the percentage of people who hate their jobs are so high that I just don't want anybody else to fall into that high percentile. So the fact is that like you can try to see what your hot buttons are. Like that's another really big thing too. Do you like to interact with people? Are you more of a researcher? You know, do you like math? Do you also like to maybe sit behind a desk and do computer work versus being out in the field? There's so many different types of questions that you can ask yourself and kind of figure out those hot buttons, because that is what is going to keep you in a job and a career that you end up loving to do. Because ultimately what it comes down to is loving what you do, and that's how you will feel and become successful. Because we live in a world of people who are super unhappy and don't actually follow their dreams and live in too much regret. My last and final tip is sacrifice. So this one is also a really huge one, because in order for you to find your dream job is you do have to go through certain sacrifices. Like a lot of times, sometimes people would rather go out to hang out with their friends or like hang out and party with people instead of really focusing on what truly matters and focusing on their future. So a lot of times when you don't decide that you need to sacrifice certain things, that's when you have put yourself in jeopardy to not find this dream job of yours. So maybe it's time to sit back, reevaluate a couple of things and be like, hey, I need to put going out all the time and partying to the side, or like just kind of rearranging certain things in your life. I know that at the beginning, the balance may be a little bit off, where you do have to put a lot more effort, time, and energy into finding this dream job of yours. But at the same time, eventually, once you do find that dream job, you can go ahead and bring yourself back to a certain type of balance. But while you're in that process of definitely looking for one, I'm going to say it's going to take the hard work, it's going to take the sacrifice, but all that work that you're doing now or trying to do now will definitely pay off in the long run. And that's where I just think You just have to go through that process of it, because if you don't, then you're going to be stuck at a dead-end job that you hate doing. So it's going to ultimately be up to you to make that decision for yourself. Alright, so I hope that you enjoyed this video and the few tips that I had for you. There's so many that I can probably give and think of, but honestly it would be a very, very long video because I am so passionate about this, and that the fact that I just really love to see other people love what they love to do, especially when it comes to their career and business, because I'm super business and goal driven, and that is something that I really love to see shine through other people. But I hope that these few tips that I did give you were helpful and kind of gave you a little bit of a pathway to either start on a new path for yourself and to try to figure it out on how to find your own dream job, because I feel like everybody deserves to build on their own empire and become a huge success, no matter what that means for some people. I'm not saying that it needs to be a dream job where you're making tons and tons of money. Yeah, that may be nice, but honestly, the true success that I feel like when it comes to having a dream job and just building your own empire is your happiness. Like, you need to be happy in what you're doing with your career, and then the money and everything like that will follow. So, like I said, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I do post videos every Thursday, so I hope to see you all next week. And I do appreciate you so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next video. Thanks so much. Bye, guys.